Hello. I did go to night swim yesterday. That was just an amazing experience, I would say. It was just so great. As soon as I walked in there, it was so welcoming and the natural lighting was amazing. Once you walk in, I guess in one section you walk in and that's the majority of the seating. So there's like a huge table with outlets. It seems like a conference table, but like most people aren't there for conferences at all, I would say. And then you have like wall seating, so facing the windows, and then some like lounge seating in the back as well. And then you have like the coffee, everything in the back. And then there's another section, it's a small little section. That's where I sat on the right side of the coffee shop. There were maybe like 4 or 5 seats facing the window, and I was there alone the entire time. I was there for about 3 hours, and that was just amazing. Privacy, it was great. I was like filming clips and everything. No one bothered me. I didn't bother anyone else. I would say the coffee itself was pretty good. I got a chai tea latte, but it was expensive. At all these places, you're just gonna find that the common theme is that it costs a pretty penny at this point for all coffee shops. Mine cost $7.50, and I got a chai tea latte extra hot with almond milk. The almond milk was, I think, the extra $1.50 for whatever reason. And then, girl, you're breathing hard. And then I got a double shot. I didn't realize that I had, but technically I only paid $1.50 because if you download the app, you can get your first drink for free. I would suggest that. Readability, I was sitting right underneath the speaker and I had my headphones on, so I didn't really hear all too much, but I would say when I was there, they were playing like funky music, mostly like up-tempo music, I guess you would call it. Not that many words, but there was like a nice beat, nice oonts going on. I loved that, but it didn't bother me whatsoever. Like, I got a ton of reading done. I finished my book, actually. A spectacular experience. And accessibility wise, it was, I'd say I give it like 3-minute walk, honestly. 3-minute walk from Parkwood Station, and that was beautiful. I think out of the 3 coffee shops that I've visited so far, because I was there by myself this time, unfortunately, I think this one is the best because the entire vibe, the ambiance, it was just so welcoming and pleasant. I would give it a smooth 9 out of 10. Smooth 9 out of 10. I think the only thing that kind of took away, I like dirty chais, but this one wasn't my favorite, so that's the only reason why I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 instead of a solid 10 out of 10. Yes, I would recommend that one. Night swim off of the Parkwood Station. Amazing vibes. That sunlight. Come on, Bagoo. Hello. Hey y'all, welcome to the end of the vlog. Thank you for coming along. Let me just walk you through the day, okay? So set the scene. We're on the train. We get off at, so more of like the southern end of, like southbound end of the light rail, and we get off at Archdale Station. You have to walk a couple minutes, but we get to Sumac Coffee. And we've been to Sumac Coffee before for like a function, more like a party at night, and that was actually a very nice vibe. There was like this igloo, this like LED lit igloo and a DJ, and it was very great music and whatnot, so that was fun. That's the only time I've been there. Camille has been there a couple times before, I think once or twice before, and she had pretty good experiences. It was my first time going there in the daytime, and honestly it was probably one of the best settings of the series so far. There was like this fake tree in the middle and there was a good bit of seating. It seemed like they had opened up the coffee shop a bit to extend into like another area, and that wasn't as well lit. It was like mostly just fluorescent lighting there, so we didn't sit there. We sat just in like the main area. We got our coffee and we were gonna get something to eat. It was like noon, I would say. We were gonna get something to eat. It was super expensive. I wanted to take the meat off of basically what was a grilled cheese sandwich, and that was still $10. So I said, no, thank you. The drinks were a pretty average price among like all the coffee shops, about $5.50 to $7.50-ish for the most part. Camille got the dulce de leche coffee, or dulce de leche latte, and then I got the sumac latte. She's gotten the dulce de leche latte before, so she just got it again. I really don't like the bad-mouthed places or people or whatever, but the people behind me got their order first and they got the same thing as me. Don't know what that was about, but I just wanted to point that out. It was very odd. And so she was making my drink and she gave me the drink. And when it was iced, I didn't ask for iced, but that could be my fault because I didn't specify and I didn't know if it came iced or hot beforehand or whatever. Maybe they just assumed because it was a hot day. So I took the first sip immediately. It was not good. Let's just say it was like the nastiest thing ever. And then I gave it to Camille to try because I was like, am I tripping? So she took her sip as well. She said that was the nastiest thing that she's ever tasted in her life. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but she said something along the lines of that. So I was justified in like my taste buds, I feel like. So I took it back and I asked for the dulce de leche drink instead. At first they didn't want to give it to me. They didn't say that explicitly, but like you could tell by their facial expressions that they were just like, what was wrong with it? But they didn't ask, and I was just like, can I just have another drink? I think that they could tell like it was just not good. So they gave me another drink, also iced. Didn't ask for that. It's okay. And then that one was actually pretty good. So no complaints there. And before we got the drinks, actually when we were waiting for the drinks, Camille went to the bathroom and I was sitting there by myself like underneath the tree. I thought it was a real tree at first, because there are like restaurants with real trees in Charlotte. So at least one that I know of. So I was sitting there and I saw something crawling. I was just like, what is that black movement? I look and I'm like, that's a baby roach. I'm sorry. I really didn't want to say that. I really don't want to say that, but it was a baby roach. And then I have video evidence. It was not cute. I was like, okay, maybe the roach is there because of the tree. I look up, that is a fake tree, so whatever. And it was a baby, and I was like, oh, I told Camille, and I showed her the video, and I was like, oh, it's just a baby, so maybe. And then she was like, that makes it even worse because that means there's a mama somewhere, you know. So that was kind of disturbing. So we decided to sit somewhere else. So that was like under the fig tree. We decided to sit more like in the lounge chairs instead. And after we got our drinks, because that happened beforehand, after we got our drinks, we just decided to sit outside because it felt awkward at that point because I asked for another drink. But this one was good. So we were sitting outside, and at some point I went to the bathroom and Camille was like running all over the place. She wasn't all over the place, but she was running because there were bees. There were bees outside. But we did get some nice clips outside before we actually did start to read. I feel like we didn't read anything outside. We were not out there for that long. But it wasn't bad when we were outside. It was actually pretty nice. There was somebody out there doing like work, and in the inside people were doing work as well. So that wasn't bad at all. But we went back inside because of the bees. And we probably read for about 20 minutes. While we were there, they were playing Drake. It wasn't very readable at all when we were inside there. And after that, like after the 20 minutes, we were just like, okay, we're gonna go back onto the train and go elsewhere. So in general, what would we rate Sumac? I did write her responses down. because we did a lot today, okay? We did a lot today, so I did write her responses down because we didn't get to film something at the end. For Sumac, she gave it a, oh my god. Okay, the little insects, that wasn't the worst of the worst, I would say. When I went to the bathroom, I really don't want to say this, I went to the bathroom and let's just say there was a glob of something on the toilet, and that disturbed me to no end. That was the real reason why we left. That I remember now, that was the real reason why we left. And Camille gave it a 5 because she had previously good experiences. I gave it a 2 because it was something after the other. The sandwich costing $10 for cheese and what was it? Cheese and whatever else was on there with no meat. And then it was like the bad drink, and then it was the insect, it was the bathroom, the bees for Camille. It just wasn't a good experience, okay? So we left, and that's fine. We left, and then we went back onto the train, and then it was probably like a 4-minute walk. So crossing the street, it might take a while, but getting to the actual train is probably about 5 minutes. Sometimes the lights are a little long, I would say, so that might take you an extra 5 minutes. But overall, it's not that bad, like accessibility wise. I'd say it's overall pretty good. So readability for Camille was a 5. For me, it was a 2. Sorry. We went uptown onto the train going northbound, and we got off in South End. We got off at East West Station, and then we went to Hawker's, which is like an Asian grill, Asian street food. And that was, I mean, that's our go-to place. We love that place, hands down. One of our favorite places in Charlotte to eat at that we frequent recently. When we were there, it was amazing. I read a little bit, decided to just go to the coffee shop right beside Hawker's, which is called Biddy and Bo's Coffee. Great. I had a great time there. I've been there, I think, with Camille once before, years ago. I think it was about 2 years ago. And I had a good experience there. I just never went back because we always get distracted by Hawker's and Jenny's. Sorry, Jenny's is the ice cream shop. We get distracted. We got Biddy and Bo's. Camille actually got a smoothie this time. And I got another coffee. I got the honey and lavender coffee. Honey and lavender latte with almond milk. I think about the same price, about $6, I would say, including tip. It was $8 and something cents. They had the windows open. We sat outside for a bit. It was just a good vibe. The music wasn't overwhelming. We didn't actually read inside, but we did read outside. And Camille rated it a 7 because she didn't really get a coffee, so she could only rate like based on what she knows. And then I gave it an 8 because it was actually pretty good and I had a good time and I liked their message, so it was very nice. While we were there, it was only about an hour left until the place closed, so we sat outside until it closed for the most part, and then we left and we walked over to Not Just Coffee, which is in the Atherton Mill area, plaza space, around the same light rail station at East West. So we went there, and we just sat there. We've been there a couple times before. I think I've only been there once or twice before, maybe twice before, and Camille frequents that place often. So she rated it, I think this was only just based on our experience this time, but overall it was a 7.5 for both of us because they don't have very good lighting at all. It's more industrial, and then the skylight, like there's only a little bit of skylight, but since the sun was setting, you could barely see. It was just pretty dark in there. It was pretty dark in there. So 7.5 overall for that place. In the first part of the video, I went by myself to night swim, and that was a 9. So overall, if I could rate all of the experiences so far in the first episode and in this episode, let's see. For Camille, it would be the Hobbyist, Waterbean, Not Just Coffee, and then Biddy and Bo's. For me, it would be Night Swim, then the Hobbyist, then Biddy and Bo's, and then Not Just Coffee. And then for the both of us, Sumac is at the bottom, unfortunately. High hopes, but it it just didn't hit overall. Hopefully I covered all bases. I don't think I did. I was just so upset over that one place. The ones that we went to today, they weren't too busy. Sumac was probably the busiest because it was actually during the day, and by the time we got to those other places, it was starting to become like late afternoon into the evening. There weren't that many people, I would say, because it is a Thursday.